Welcome to another edition of Journey of Hope. Stories of real people on a journey through life. Our special guests today are here in California through Hong Kong and Finland. Very interesting couple with a dramatic story to share. Frank and Serpa, we're glad to have you here. We need to learn a little bit about you. So first of all, tell us where you're from, where you started from, and then we're going to find out a little bit more about you. So Frank, tell us a little bit about
Dr. Martell. I'm originally from Hong Kong. I was born in Hong Kong, and my family immigrated to Brazil at that time I think it was around 1956.
Okay.
And I think we really wanted to come to the United States. I think at that time, it was much more easier for immigration process to go to Brazil.
So you were living in Brazil. What was your dad doing?
He was in the restaurant business.
Was he?
Like most Asian culture.
Yeah. And so how old were you when you left Brazil?
I think I was I think maybe 8 years old, you know, quite young.
And where did you go?
Brazil, we settled in Kowloon.
Okay.
And I mean, not Kowloon, I'm sorry. São Paulo.
São Paulo.
Yeah, in Brazil.
And then when you were, did you leave at the age of 8 or you went there at the age of 8?
We went there at the age of 8.
Okay. And then you left and went away to
I
college?
left, I finished high school in Brazil, and I left in 1967 to England.
And you went for some college there?
I went to England, study mechanical engineering.
I knew when we were talking earlier that you had an engineering
little bit.
See, it came out.
Yes,
Right. So you went there to England for a little while. All right, let me come back over here now, Serpa. Tell us where you're from.
Originally, yes, I'm from Finland.
From Finland.
And I left Finland when I was 18.
Okay.
So that was 1966 I left.
All right.
And started to travel first to Sweden and eventually to Italy and Greece and then back to Finland. And 1971 I came to the United States.
Okay.
And shortly after that I met Mr. Wonderful.
Oh, Mr. Wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, well, I've heard different people call him other things, but that's the first time I heard Mr. Wonderful.
You want to share with me?
Yeah. All right, so you went to England and studied mechanical engineering for a little while.
Yes.
And then from there, where did you go?
Then at that time I was able to come over to the United States.
After you graduated?
No, I did not graduate from English at the British Institute. And so I came to the United States and under a scholarship with General Motors to study automotive design in the Art Center College of Design in Pasadena.
Okay.
So I earned my industrial design degree from there. And a little after that, I went to work for Disney.
Okay, so but is that where you met Serpa when you were working in that company?
Yes, I met Serpa in California, and we both were working. Prior to Disney, I was with a oil petroleum company, smaller company, and we met there mutually, and that's when we
That's when you... So yeah, you were telling me you've been married how many years now?
This July, it's 40.
40
wonderful
years.
Yes.
Well, that's great. So now what were you doing at this place where he was working?
I was hired as a model those days when I was young. You know, I fit the bill, I guess. You know.
All right.
And when there was a trade shows and conventions for the industry, oil industry, petroleum, water welling, mining, equipment, every 2 weeks in different cities. So I was the model. I was the lure, you know, to lure the clients in, and salesmen could do the sales pitch, you know, but so I was modeling for them.
And that's where you caught his eye.
Well, they told me that you have to meet this Frank Lee, you know, he's a nice Chinese guy. And I said, okay. And when we first met, you know, I said, okay, nice to meet you, see you later, bye.
Yeah, that was it. He
Not
didn't
very
do a sales
impressive.
job to begin
No,
with.
he didn't.
Not very impressive.
Yeah. But anyway, you got married coming up 40 years.
Yes.
Well, congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
So you worked at Disney for how many years then?
15 years.
And what were you doing? I mean, there's a lot of things going on at Disney.
Oh,
You're talking about
yes.
Disneyland now, or Disney, the corporation?
The Disney, the corporation. But I was located in the Anaheim, Disneyland.
In Anaheim. What were you doing?
Particularly in the resort development.
The resort development,
And
okay.
yeah, prior to my retirement, my most quite involved project was the Grand Californian Hotel.
That's the big hotel they have
That's a
there.
big hotel. It's been there now for over 10 years now, I think.
And so what was your role in that?
My role was pretty broad, but primary is in the design field.
In the design area?
Yeah, in the design area. From thematic design of the hotel interior to some of the key anchor hotel lobby stores, signature restaurants.
So you worked there for 15 years?
I worked there for 15 years.
And then retired here a few years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you had a very interesting story in terms of learning how you ended up having cancer. And an interesting background about how you even learned about Loma Linda. Tell us a little bit about that. In fact, if I understand correctly, you're the one that had the contact. Tell us what happened. You had a friend from Finland.
Yes, way back when I was still in Finland, a friend of mine whom I knew there contacted me in early 2003. He don't speak English, very much, but so he contacted me knowing where we live, and said that he has a cancer, lung cancer, and metastasized, and prostate cancer. And he had heard about the place called Loma Linda in Southern California.
He's in Finland and heard about Loma Linda.
He is in Finland and contacted me here, yeah. And so we started to looking into. I said, okay, let me take a look and see what I can do for you. So we found out where the Loma Linda is located, and Frank eventually contacted the Loma Linda people and got some introduction pamphlets and information and all that, sent it to us. And then we forwarded everything else to him to Finland except the book itself, of
the book by Bob Marchini.
Yeah, yes, by Bob Marchini.
You Can Survive Prostate Cancer.
Yes,
but it was in English, so he couldn't read it.
He couldn't read it anyway, so I thought that, well, no point of sending it to him.
You put it up on a bookshelf.
Yeah.
I put it up and
basically forgot about it.
Basically forgot. At that time, I said, why worry about prostate?
So we couldn't really help the fellow, and it was metastasized.
Right. Yes.
He eventually died, apparently.
Unfortunately, it was way too advanced and too complicated in his case, and there was some delays, and so.
But out of politeness, you put the book up on the bookshelf, and eventually probably going to get rid of it, I suppose, if you're not going to read it. There's no need for you to read it.
Yeah, no need for me. And
then 10 years later, what happened?
10 years later, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer in 2013. Just around the first quarter of the year 2013, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer.
And how did you find out?
Just through my, again, it was a normal physical checkup, and they detected some anomaly in that region, and they wanted me to take a blood test to read the PSA. At the time, I don't even know what PSA stands for.
Never heard of it before.
Never heard of it. So I was told that my PSA level was 6.99. That was March of 2013.
And 6.99 is higher, but it's not as high as some men get it, but it's high. It's an indication that something's probably going on.
Probably.
You didn't know what it meant.
Since I never really,
didn't know
took
that much
any
about it.
attention to this type of illness or problem, I never really pay attention. So one thing led to another. They wanted to do a biopsy, and just like a pretty normal course of procedure, and took 12 samples, and turned out my Gleason score was 7, 3 plus 4.
So they found it in a number of different samples.
They found
so how
it-
did this hit you? You know, you all of a sudden, how'd you find out you had cancer? I mean,
it was
you said you
it
got a
was
phone
like a couple weeks after the first visitation, follow up with a biopsy. Maybe 2-3 weeks passed by, and then all of a sudden I got a call on Sunday.
it was on a Sunday.
On a Sunday.
And what were you doing?
Serpa and I was having breakfast.
So you get a phone call.
I got a phone call, to be quite exact, it was around 9:30.
Yeah.
See,
yeah.
you still remember. 9:30, Sunday morning.
Sunday
You're
morning.
reading breakfast. You could probably remember what you're reading.
Yeah.
And he says, you got cancer, Frank.
The urologist say, you got cancer. I'd like to see you and your wife, schedule appointment with my office. And I can't even talk to him. I wanted to get some more detail.
But he wanted to cut you off and
He just-
come on in, we'll talk about
We
it.
talk
Yeah.
about it, you know.
So how did this hit you?
I was just devastated, you know, but I tried to keep a poker face, you know, so that I don't
You don't
make
wanna-
him more
don't wanna
worried
get
than
emotional
already is.
about it.
Yeah, but
and he's doing the same thing.
what a way to break the news, you know, and
On
a Sunday
Sunday morning.
morning, you know, was very unconventional, you know. So I would not never expect anybody to do that.
But if they're
you know,
calling
but,
on Sunday, it must be
yeah,
pretty serious.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
that
yeah.
is
That's what
like
you're thinking.
alarming, you know, when you think that, well, if they have to call on Sunday, you know, this is
pretty serious.
Yeah,
So-
especially, I have never taken not even a Tylenol.
So you're
for
not on
headache.
any medications.
No,
you get
no.
this word, you got cancer. So do you remember the book at this point?
Oh, right away, I said prostate. I heard of the word prostate, but I can't remember where. And finally, I remember it was the book title of the book.
The title of the book by Bob Marcini.
By Bob
You
Marcini.
can survive prostate cancer without surgery.
Without surgery.
So did you go back and start reading it then?
Oh, yes, right away, right away. The book was a tremendous source of information, tremendous help to me. Personally, I was able to totally understand the process, and because it was written so easily for
Well,
layman's.
Bob said that's the book that he wished he would have had when he was diagnosed.
That's
And
exactly.
So many men all around the world have read that book, and it's been a big help to them.
Yeah.
So you know about Loma Linda. Does the urologist or your doctor tell you to come to Loma Linda?
No, heavens.
He didn't?
No. Then following my reading of the book, then I had the follow-up visitation with my urologist. Happened to be a surgeon.
Sure.
And
surgeons do surgery.
right,
Yeah,
surgeon.
that's normal.
And so he basically told us that he wanted me to proceed with the procedure because he doesn't think that I should wait. He said there are some instances where you can observe and wait carefully, make sure you have regular PSA, tests.
Kind of watchful waiting,
watchful
active
waiting,
surveillance, right?
active, yeah,
And for some
exactly.
people, that's appropriate.
Yeah,
But in your case, they said, no, you need to do something.
yeah.
Right.
So
Makes it sound serious again, doesn't it?
It did. It very much
it,
so.
it
Yes.
just, one of my biggest concerns after having read Bob's book, is the condition with incontinence.
Sure.
That's one of my biggest concerns.
Right.
I mean, I'm still consider myself fairly active, young.
Sure.
And I said, gee, do I want to have that problem the rest of my life? So I asked my urologist, and I said, what is the alternative to radical surgery? He said, well, we do have a new procedure, new technology, which is 10 or 12 years already being in the process, called the robotic surgery.
Robotic surgery.
So I made an appointment with that surgeon, urologist, the following week. And it was a funny story.
Yeah, he said he compared it to doing what?
He compared the technique. He said, Mr. Lee, just think about 2 chopsticks.
Trying to catch the
Trying
grain of
to
rice.
help you
or
to
something.
understand using
I said,
chopsticks.
I'm looking at the monitor with these two chopsticks, and I was thinking to myself, because I'm a modeler, sometimes I fly model airplanes. I said, I can't even manage radio control with the airplane up in the air. You're going to do that with my body? That was really kind of like, wow. I look at the fellow, he's highly qualified.
Oh, highly qualified, very competent.
Very competent.
Many people have very successful robotic surgery.
Yeah,
but at this time, you're
I just
beginning
don't
to
have
think
the confidence.
That's not what you're going to do.
I just don't have the
So
confidence.
you finally, you told me that you contacted a few people.
I did. So just about the same time I was going through my interview, my consultation with Kaiser urologist, I received all the documentation.
All the material from Loma Linda.
From Loma Linda. And in it, there was 120 prior Loma Linda proton patients.
Patients that had volunteered to be contacted.
Exactly.
So did you make contact with a couple of them?
So I was told that I can contact any one of them. So I sent all 120 email.
You sent all of them.
Not a blast email. It's just
Each one
individually.
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 This guy does his research.
I know he does.
Individually.
Yeah, it's just
120. Did
incredible.
you hear back from some of them?
56.
56.
To be, I'm at I think it's at 50% response.
Oh yeah,
Just
that's
about.
wonderful.
But to be exact, maybe 48 point whatever.
Being with an engineering background, you probably diagnosed and charted.
Not only that, through the 56, the youngest patient was 47, the oldest was 82.
Really?
And over the span between the youngest and the oldest, the patient being treated, the most recent was 2 years, and the oldest I think, was 21 years.
Wow. So you had a great perspective of
Great. Yeah,
a big
it was
time frame there.
pretty much cover.
And did most of them have a good experience?
I think except for one fellow.
Out of the 56?
Out of 50, he is the 82 years old fellow, and he did mention that he had prior procedures done.
Oh, before he came to Loma Linda?
Before he came to Loma Linda. So he continued to have some
of the side effects.
Side effects.
He'd had surgery before he came here.
Yes.
Which brings out a very important point for our listening audience. We do treat people that had prostatectomy and had failed surgery, and then they end up coming here and are very successful. But that's really a remarkable outcome that you had. So you begin sifting through, and eventually you came to Loma Linda. So how were you when you came to Loma Linda? Did you just show up for your treatment and go back home, or what happened?
No, I came to Loma Linda, and at that time, after all my research, study, and understand then I finally said, oh, I know where Loma Linda is in San Bernardino County. So I came here for my initial consultation with Dr. Namihas.
One of our fine doctors.
It was great. I had a real good relationship with Dr. Namihas. And shortly after that, I think was about 3 weeks later, I was admitted.
So now, did you stay here? Did you go back and forth every day?
I stay here at the Loma Linda Inn during the treatment.
During the week?
Yeah, because I think it's, easier.
Too far back and forth.
Yeah.
So, and you were able to come over a few times?
I did, I would visit him, and then he come home for the weekend.
My personal experience during the time, I brag about when I call home, talk to my neighbor, how you guys doing? How you doing? And I said, I'm doing fine. I saw such a movie. What did you do? Oh, yeah.
So, while you were here, though, you did more than just show up for your treatment. You were involved. You went to the Drayson Center.
I went to Drayson Center every day.
You went to the Tuesday night potluck.
I went to the potluck dinner on Tuesday night and
Wednesday meeting.
Wednesday meeting, and there was a Thursday meeting,
Yeah,
right?
there was a Thursday restaurant
Gathering.
tour. So you
I
went
only
to the-
participated once. The food was...
Yeah. So anyway, that's behind you now. You've been treated, you've gone home, and everything is going along fine. And about a year later, something happened.
Oh, jeez.
You're healthy, and you haven't had any health problems at this point.
No, yeah.
And you're happy.
So
He's been through. He's been treated for his cancer, and life is good.
Yes.
Yeah, this is what's happening, right? So 4 months post-therapy, or proton therapy, my PSA was from 6.99 went to 0.6.
Oh, that's marvelous. What a wonderful response.
That
First
is
anniversary
very good numbers.
post-therapy, 0.2.
Okay.
Yes.
So you
Last
beat
December,
the
last December, 0.1.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's still
Yeah.
going down. That is marvelous. But I wanted to bring something out. You're doing fine. The cancer's behind you. You've moved on. It's been a stumbling block. It was kind of a bad experience for you, but you moved ahead. Everything's going fine. And then you have this issue regarding the heart.
I didn't have any issue. I just
Oh, you did. You didn't know
You didn't
it.
know that you
I
didn't
didn't-
have.
in 2014, just around March, I went in for my normal
physical.
And the doctor said, when did you have an EKG? I said, gee, that was maybe 10, 15 years ago. Well, we want you to have one.
Okay, so they want you to have an EKG. They have an EKG, and then what happened?
Then they said, well, we have to do a little stress EKG.
Stress.
And
That's
I
starting to create some stress for you because they're not satisfied with one.
Yeah,
So
I
you're going
said,
to do the stress, and then what?
then from that, they found out they want me to do echocardiogram.
An echocardiogram. So they're running one test after another. And you think they got the wrong guy.
Oh, totally. I said, why me? You know, nothing.
So they do that, and then what do they want to do?
They want to do angiogram.
An angiogram, and that's where they go up through an artery in the groin, up into the heart. And what are you thinking at this time?
At that time, I said, gee, how invasive with the angiogram. I found out, okay, I said, okay, after talking to family, talking to Serpa, I said, okay, I'm going to do that. They won't let me out.
So they do the angiogram, and during the angiogram, they must have seen some things there.
I guess so.
Blockage, serious blockage.
Some serious blockage,
Yeah,
and they're not even going to let you go home.
Not only that, I said, oh, are you going to put a stent? Oh, no, we can't do that.
They can't. You're too bad for a stent.
Too late for that.
So how many
Yeah,
blockages?
Three, because
Three.
yeah.
Three
Yeah.
blockages.
Major.
So,
Three major bypass.
Three major bypasses. So how does, I mean, you've already overcome the cancer, things are going, and of all things, the heart, he has no idea that he's got any problem with the
No
heart.
symptoms.
How is this hitting you?
Yeah. Oh, gosh, I just didn't know what to think. Luckily, my sister-in-law and brother-in-law were in a hospital with me. So we were able to kind of console each others and hold hands, but I was really devastated.
Fine.
It scared me because they didn't let him go home anymore. They were going to operate next day.
Right then,
and
it's very, very serious.
Yeah,
I mean, the fact they're not letting him go, it's got to be very, very frightening.
It was. It was just, I was just.
So how are you
falling
taking
apart.
all this news?
I have no choice, but
I can't go home. They must be serious.
it must be serious.
Yeah.
So
Let's get it over with.
yeah, basically, all kinds of thinking going through my mind, at that point. So, but fortunately, everything went fine. And
Well, I remember calling you up shortly after.
Yeah, I want
you
to
had
mention that. I remember talking to you. As a matter of fact, the day you called me, believe it or not, I had my PSA in the hospital.
Oh, did you?
And the result was 0.2.
Oh, no, I didn't realize
That was the one.
Yeah.
Because it was in May of 2014. And that was like almost 1 year after my treatment.
Well, no, I didn't realize that. In fact, I found out about your surgery after you already had it, or I would have been over there. I would have been over there probably and had prayer with you before you had the surgery. Well, that's behind you now.
Totally behind.
And you went through rehab, and you're doing well now. And that's been, what, 8 months ago?
8
Something
months,
like 8 months ago?
Exactly 8 months.
So God's had his hand over you. God's not through with you yet. He's still got some plans for you. And I wanted to thank you on behalf of Loma Linda, because I know you and your lovely wife here came down and did something for Loma Linda. Put it in there, apparently in your trust to remember Loma Linda.
Yes, we did. And we were so grateful to the proton, technology that pioneered by Loma Linda. And we thought, well, this is something that we really would like to do.
Yeah,
we wanted to do.
Well,
we
thank you for partnering with us. It's been exciting to see how God's had his hand over you and your work there at Disney. No, I can't have to go to Disney without saying, I know somebody that was a very important part of Disney and Disneyland and that hotel. I'm going to look at it differently the next time I go over there. And we got a listening audience now that are watching on, and some of them have just found out this week they had cancer. Some found out that they may have some heart problems. What would you tell them?
Well, I think first of all, you have to trust yourself and trust that God is there to help.
Trust that God's going to work it out for you.
Work it out,
good,
yes.
Very good counsel.
And then very, very important, take a deep breath. Do not take any...
Don't panic.
Don't panic. Do not take any action without really thoroughly understand.
Think it through.
Think it through. What are your options?
Yeah. Getting a second opinion. For our listening audience, I want to say, Frank and Serpa here are a wonderful illustration of people who've been confronted with different at points of their life with different news, but they took their time, they paused, they sought second opinions. And I want to tell you, as you're looking on here, that God's got a plan for your life if you give him an opportunity. Trust in him. He will hear. Talk to him. Give him a chance. He's got a wonderful plan for you. God bless you.